this is Dylan from Life Beast, and today we're going through squatting like a baby. So I wrote a blog about why people should squat like a baby, and of course there's heaps of information out there about squatting and the depths of squatting that you should go to and why you should do this and why you should do that, but of course there's no one decided answer. So I'm going to go through my premise behind it. You can take the bits you want. So there's a few little things that people really focus on with squats. So there's obviously how low do you go, where do my knees go and why are they wobbling around everywhere, and why can someone else get down there but you might not be able to. Your back might compensate, your knee might drop in, your toes you're on your toes instead of heels being on the ground, all these different bits and pieces. So I like to look at why squats are important with relevance to life. So you're always sitting down, you're going to be sitting down to study and then obviously standing up to go get your food or go to the toilet or whatever. Of course you're sitting down on the toilet and getting back up. You're sitting on the couch, you're sitting and you're standing. So squatting is really, really important for everyday life. It's as simple as that. So how low should you go? How low should you go? Everybody's got a different basis. Of course, you go to some of those classes where they just get you to go down to about here and then come back up. And then, squatting down to halfway, they go, no, that's bad for you. They tell me that's bad for you. So, but they never really explain why, usually. They might say it's bad for your knees. So obviously with our background, or my background, I'm going to tell you why. That's a load of crap, okay? So the reason I think I've researched squatting like a baby is important is because you need to get full muscle activation through the front and the back. And obviously these bits need to get involved as well. So it's about stability as much as it is about lengthening and incorporating all the muscle fibers. So you obviously need activation between the front and the back, of course the side to the side. It's all about equilibrium. So one of the major issues with knees specifically, which seems to be a really, really big point of the squat, is the patellofemoral joint. And anybody who's ever had patellofemoral pain or been diagnosed with patellofemoral pain, you'd know that it's not the nicest thing in the world. So that pretty much means that you have an imbalance most of the time, obviously between here and here, that causes maltracking of the kneecap. So again, it's about muscle balance. The best way to get this activated or get it even technically is to utilize hip position, which gets the knees in position correctly and obviously gets the right muscles working properly. All right, so we'll get into that as far as depth is concerned in a second. The second part is obviously joint integrity, and you obviously want to keep your joint integrity. So the more you move a joint through its full range of motion, the longer it's going to be able to do that for. So joints should always be able to move through their full range of motion. That makes sense. So it would only make sense that if you keep squatting through full range of motion or keep moving through full range of motion for your entire life, then you're going to keep that joint integrity for as long as possible. Of course, there's other small additional factors like whether you've had injuries or you've got an imbalance or something like that. But for the norm and for the majority, you've just got to keep that joint integrity there. So back to the patellofemoral joint one, especially with the term joint loading. So, and with regards to the squat. So, of course, we're trying to minimize too much knee pressure or pressure in the knee joint and of course the patellofemoral joint. And the interesting thing about the squat is that as soon as you're standing here, your pressure in your knee joint and your patellofemoral joint is pretty minimal. It's pretty low, if at all. Okay? As you start to bend and start to put pressure through, it obviously starts to go up. And the interesting thing, and this is for those people that go to those classes where they just do little half squats, when you get down to halfway, so if you get to about here, the pressure in your knee joint and the patellofemoral joint is at its max. Okay? So I'll try and describe this, try and paint a word picture. So it'd be like you've got to stop at a stop sign, but instead of just kind of rolling into it slowly, you accelerate and then slam on the brakes at the worst possible time. So you actually get down there and then you just go boom. So you're just slamming on the brakes and grinding through that maximum amount of pressure, and you're just hitting max pressure and then kind of coming back down. So the other interesting part, which not a lot of people know, is the lower you go, the more the pressure decreases. So it starts, when you're standing up, it's quite low, if at all. When you get down to halfway, it's at the top, and then when you drop all the way down, that pressure in the knee is actually pretty much eradicated, okay? So that's also important with regards to getting full muscle activation. So for the people who've gone to a physio for patellofemoral joint pain, they usually focus on this muscle here. It's called the VMO, or the vastus medialis oblique. And you'll see this on some really, really big guys as well, some of those bodybuilders, and it's it looks like that teardrop muscle. So they'll say this is really important because this is pulling the kneecap to the side, so you need to get this stronger. Okay, so there's two main ranges where this is fully activated. It's the last 30 degrees of extension, and there's the bottom of a full depth squat. So that's relevant to the full muscle length and activation of a muscle, okay? So I'm talking full depth squat. I've got this here just to assist me, because I'm still working on my form, nobody's perfect. It's getting all the way down and all the way back up again, okay? When you do come up, you make sure you're not completely, you're not an unbroken chain. You stand up completely, squeeze your bottom, and squeeze through here as well, okay? That's going to work really, really well. So I've given you a few reasons why going full depth is pretty important to the body. There's going to be some people that can do it now, and there's some people that can't. And now I'm going to give you a few ways that you can work into it, okay? So my friendly partner Jason is going to come over here. And this is just one way. It's a way that I've really felt can open the hips up, because it can be really a lot of pain and pressure through here a lot of the time. So Jason's just going to sit down. He's going to start in a seated position. So you might not actually be this low when you do it, because your back might be curved, you might feel really, really stiff. But at the moment I'm going to do it this low with Jason, okay? And of course, if you started up here, you then progress lower and lower. So what I'm going to get Jason to do, he's going to sit up nice and straight. You can see where his heels are. It's like he's in a squat position, it's perfect. If someone was squatting like this, it'd look really, really good. Okay, so what he's going to do is he's just going to sit nice and straight, lock all of the midsection on, and he's just going to push the knees out as far as he can go. Okay, so what he's doing is he's just opening up through the hip, and certain people will be tighter than others. Certain people go, oh, that really hurts. Some people are like, that's nothing. So what I'm going to get him to do in that position is just roll his body forward, and he doesn't need to keep neutral spine anymore, and he's just going to roll forward as low as he can go. And that really does just open it up. And instead of just sitting there, he's going to actively move through these positions. So he's going to come back up really slowly, keeping those knees out, come back up to the position, and then he's going to rock back down. So he could just do, say, 2 minutes of this, just to really open up the hip capsule and open up that really tender part of the hip joint. Let's just say he's done that. Okay, he's then going to sit up nice and straight. He's going to relax the pressure externally on the knees, and he's just going to try and rock his weight forward slightly, toes still wobbling around or wiggling around, and then he's going to stand up and actually sit all the way back down to there again. He's going to do a few of them. So this is just him just practicing to squat like a baby. And again, this is also relative to back pain. So a huge thing with back pain, well, back pain is just huge. A lot of people have back pain. A lot of chiropractors, physios, the majority of the people they'll see is back pain. Okay, so I'm not going to say that this can cure back pain. It's definitely not going to cure back pain, but it can, if you continue to keep your full joint range of motion, your muscle integrity, muscle full lengthening of muscles, you're not going to compensate anymore. You don't need to bend the back so much and pick up terribly. You can just get down there like you should, and just pick something up and then come back up, and you're maintaining that neutral spine and body position. There's obviously a lot of other factors, but we're going to go into that in a few other videos. Of course, develop certain movements, certain rehab ones, and preventative rehab as well. So for now, that's why you should squat like a baby. And if you don't know how to squat like a baby, just watch either your child or someone else, just watch them squat. It's absolutely amazing. This is Dylan, Life Beast, done.